Digital greetings to all. Everycom sent me this little projector, and since many of you ask me for a cheap projector, one that doesn't cost more than $60, well, maybe this could be the projector you need. This is the X9 Pro Mini, and it comes out with everything to compete against the well-known HY-300, but with some functions that this other one does not have. It's true, this is a cheap projector, but when you're short on budget, the X9 Pro Mini might be the best you can get for very little money. Stay tuned for this video and find out with me if this projector is worth it. Let's watch the video. But before continuing, I'd like to tell you that this video is brought to you by TV Club, Gamsgo's new sister platform, but focused on other services for all channels worldwide. Scan this QR code or enter from the link in the description for secure access. Choose your service and try it out. You can sign up for just 1 month here, so you have nothing to lose. Oh, and don't forget to include my discount coupon JAVIX. I'm already using it on my TV, my computer, and my phone, and it's working great. The Everycom X9 Pro Mini arrives in a small box, inside which I found this short getting started guide, a power cable, a remote control, and the projector itself, which arrives properly protected in its bag and lined with shockproof foam. The X9 Pro Mini is small and easy to handle. It's a relatively inexpensive projector, so its quality isn't premium, but it doesn't feel as mediocre as the HY-300 either. At the front, it has a focus ring, which has a nice glossy finish, which gives it a better visual appearance. By rotating this ring up to about 200 degrees, you can focus manually, since the X9 Pro Mini does not have autofocus. While at the back, it has 2 brackets to install it directly on the wall, and underneath it has this small security sticker, which keeps the set closed. Without the sticker, we can now remove the kickstand, which is the distinguishing feature of this projector. Thanks to this stand, we can position it in different ways and project from virtually any angle, even up toward the ceiling. Well, it doesn't have many connections, but it does have the necessary ones, such as an HDMI input, an audio output, and a USB input. It also has an infrared receiver and a power outlet. The stand of this projector is held in place and secured through a hole in the projector, where a small pin in the base fits, keeping it closed as a single unit. Additionally, if you pull up firmly, the stand post can extend an additional 8 centimeters, giving you other installation options, or where you need to raise the projection head higher. This way, I think it also looks much nicer. The Everycom X9 Pro is a cheap projector, costing just over $60 on AliExpress, and also has free shipping. This projector is clearly focused on those who don't have a budget for a high-end projector, or on those who want to experience home projection for the first time. This projector has limited features, as it's a budget projector, but it's better than the HY-300. I say this from experience because I've already opened an HY-300 and the internals are of more mediocre quality. Meanwhile, the X9 Pro is a bit more carefully crafted in terms of materials and construction, but it costs about $20 more. I personally would pay those $20 more if it guaranteed me better quality materials and projection. You'll see a brief comparison later on. Additionally, the design of the X9 Pro seems more elegant to me, and its specifications are a bit more than what I would expect for a $60 projector. Thanks to its kickstand, this projector practically doesn't need a tripod, and any small table can be used for projection, or it can even be placed on the floor, as it integrates a relatively efficient correction system. And another thing is that these non-certified projectors barely require any configuration. With this projector, all you have to do is choose the language and connect it to a Wi-Fi network. Honestly, that's it, and you'll be on the X9 Pro Mini's main interface screen. The first thing I notice is the screen brightness. It's a bit low for me, although that might also be because I'm used to projectors with 1000 ANSI lumens or more. As for the interface, it moves smoothly, isn't too heavy, and flows relatively easily. It has this option called Desktop, which when clicked changes the interface to the desktop interface. Similar to Android TV, it is still not certified, but you can have it in this other interface, which is a little more intuitive. It integrates some standard applications such as YouTube, Netflix, and some tool apps to project the screen to the TV, and a folder manager. If I go into the settings, there are 3 main options. The first is General Settings, which includes Bluetooth connectivity. which works well and recognizes devices around it, and the physical input sources, which are on the back. The second is display, where you can configure specific aspects of the projector, such as projection modes, keystone correction, 4 points, and screen zoom, 50% to 100%. And the third option is system settings, to change the language, time, factory reset, or view some specific data about this projector. Nothing too complex, more basic I'd say, but it's fine. Well, as for the images, which is what matters most, they're relatively good. I'm projecting at 120 inches, and if you make sure to control the external light or that you're in the dark, I think you'll have a generally positive experience with this projector. Although the truth is also that with any projector in the world, if you are in the dark, you will see relatively well, no matter if that projector is very bad or very cheap. But that relatively good will depend on each user's needs. There are people who are content just seeing images, and that's enough for them, just as there are others who pay attention to details like the blurring in the corners, which is typical of a cheap projector, and they can't forgive that. The X9 Pro isn't perfect, but for what it costs, it looks good. What do you think of these images? Let me know in the comments, what do you think? If I project a wide screen, you'll be able to see the maximum brightness achieved by this projector, which I think is quite good. Again, reminding you that this is a cheap projector. And you can also see that when you move the projector, it automatically corrects its projection, a feature not built into the HY-300. What do you think about the brightness of this $60 projector? Personally, I think it's quite acceptable for the price. If I project a wide screen, you'll be able to see for the color tone. These are quite neutral and are not so saturated. In most colors, they look good and are homogeneous across the entire screen, except in some strong colors, such as blue, where a central point of great brightness is observed, and that is undesirable in a projector, where what is sought is homogeneity. I also tried it on content with dark scenes, and I know this isn't its strong suit for this type of cheap projector, but I wanted to see how it does. And well, it looks more or less the same, right? But with dark movies, don't even think about turning on the light, because as you can see, it will look very dull and very bad, and that's only a fraction of the total light in my room, let's say 50%. Of course, if the content is well recorded and you're in the dark, this projector may surprise you, as the image quality will be very good with beautiful vibrant colors, and in these circumstances you'll be glad you bought it. When the projected content is well recorded and of good quality, even with daylight, it will be relatively easy to see, but as I said before, with some light in my room, because if I turn on 100% of my room, this projector won't be able to do that, which is also normal, due to the brightness limitations I mentioned before. This projector is a bit more expensive than the HY-300, about $20 more actually, but having tested both, I can confirm that the X9 Pro produces better quality images, looks better, and is brighter. It's up to you to decide whether or not it's worth paying those extra $20. I'm already preparing a video about the HY series of projectors, as I've tested the 3 most popular models, the HY-300, the HY-320, and the HY-350. I also took some photos of the X9 Pro projection, mainly to check for some focus issues, which it certainly has, given that it's a cheap projector. But the projection overall is quite acceptable. In the upper left corner, you can see a slight blurring effect on the white letters, but it's not as severe. In this other image, which has more letters, it's more visible. As you can see, it generally looks average. But as we zoom in on the corners at the bottom, there's a slight blur, and at the top, the blur is more noticeable. These are flaws that have to be accepted in a cheap projector, guys. What we have to make sure is that these flaws aren't so gross. Now, I'll project at the maximum my screen allows, which is 150 inches, which is also the maximum indicated in the X9 Pro specifications. Once framed and the screen corrected, there you have the X9 Pro projecting at maximum size. And since the brightness is significantly reduced on a large projection screen, if you turn on the lights here, you're practically condemning yourself to not seeing anything. And be careful, something that doesn't have any solution is that no cheap projector can decode 4K. You can check this by opening a YouTube video that's in 4K, then go to the settings and then select quality. Here, the quality that your device can detect will appear, and you won't see the 2260p option, which is 4K. These projectors don't detect 4K, much less decode it. You can only choose up to 1080p or Full HD, and that's normal and common for most cheap projectors and those under $200. This is just one more of the compromises and sacrifices you have to make when buying a cheap projector. I'm not saying they're useless. If you're not picky, you'll have no problems. But if you want to demand high quality, well, this isn't the projector for you, and you'd better save your money to buy something better. The good things about this projector are, first, the price, since $60 is affordable for most people. Second, its design with its telescopic stand means you can place it almost anywhere without a tripod. And it's also Full HD, and the bad things are its brightness isn't the best, the sound is monaural from a single speaker, and it's not very powerful. And finally, it can't decode 4K content. It's part of your job to balance the good and bad of this X9 Pro Mini projector. In conclusion, this small projector has its limitations, but it also has its advantages. It is small, it is Full HD, and it has an elegant look. And if it is going to be your first projector or you do not have much money, then it could be a good alternative. The bad of this X9 Pro Mini projector. All my tests are real, huh? And you've seen how it behaves. I can't lie to you that this is the best model, but I also can't tell you it's useless. People's tastes vary greatly, and what may be a gem for some may be just a toy for others. Thanks for reading through to the end, my friend, and I hope you enjoyed this review. Help me and let's democratize technology. See you in the next video.